Good afternoon. This is Pam Beal with Radio Tacoma, and I am here today with Bryan Hatchell of the band Checker Bloom. And Bryan, why don't we start by talking about the name of the band? What?
Yeah, gladly. Good to be in touch, and thanks for having me on. Checker Bloom is a flower from the Owens Valley, which is a secluded place in the Eastern Sierra of California. And that's where I lived when I first started writing some of the music that Checker Bloom plays as a band. And, I kind of love the idea of this flower that grows in an alpine setting right before, tree line stops, where the foliage significantly changes. And something about the resiliency of this pink flower that is so small, existing and thriving at that mid to low alpine area was beautiful to me. And, I think it invoked a cool imagery too, and allows us to play with that flower a lot.
Yeah. I love that.
Just with things we do.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the band, how long you've been together, where you're located?
Yeah, gladly. So the band started almost a month after I moved to Bellingham, which was in June of 2021. It looked like things were opening up from COVID and everything when I moved away from California, and so secluded there. And I had been writing songs. I was just like, I want to go somewhere that I can meet some cool people and start playing music. And so I got to Bellingham. That's where I picked to move to. And I ended up finding our drummer, Johnny Roberts, and our bass player, Martin Pittis, on Craigslist. They came as a package, funny enough, which for bass and drums, that is like what you want, for them to already have that chemistry is amazing. And then for a little while, we had a guitar player named Greg Michaels who moved away to Portland. And now we have Zach Miller, who is not only our lead guitar player, but our mixing engineer, our producer. He made this whole album for us that we're about to talk about a little bit later. And he's been great to have on board for the band.
Great. That sounds like a wonderful combination.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about the type of music that you play. I know you don't want to be in any sort of category, and it sounds like you have a kind of go across category quite a bit. But I from your website, I read that you have a surfy, ever so mildly psychedelic indie rock band sound.
Yeah.
So let's go with, if you could talk a little bit about surfy, maybe that's the California vibe, and maybe the psychedelic part too.
I'm really looking forward to putting the album out so people can tell us what they hear, because defining yourself is so hard, because you know what you're trying to be, but it rarely comes across that way for a listener. People will interpret it so differently. But I guess we kind of listen to the sounds we're pulling reference from, and like for the surfy stuff, it's mostly coming from the guitar tones, I would say, and some of the drums on the rolling toms. And we came to this sound for the album rather naturally. We had this EP out that is kind of straightforward alternative rock. Think about your Arctic Monkeys or your Strokes and things like that, and kind of is in that world. And as we played and got to know each other better, we kind of just refined what we wanted to do and approach. And the concept lyrically for this album started to come about, and we started to think about how do we accompany that with some tones and things. And it was some intentionality of, saying we want to do a little surfy psychedelic stuff. I love psychedelic music myself. And I know our drummer Johnny loves kind of surfy tom rolls and things like that. But it is eclectic, like you say. It definitely sounds like the same band, or at least that's what I would like to think. But we'll go from kind of like a surfy indie disco song that will make you, pull out your big lapel blazer and your, in your dancing shoes and your sequin dress and want to dance. And then we'll have a more introspective, kind of heavier, angsty rock song. And I don't know if you heard Wastelander, which I may have sent to you, but that, kind of captures, I think, perfectly the surfy psychedelic cocktail that we're going for. And then everything kind of whispers elements of that from there.
Is one person in the band more the writer of the lyrics?
Yeah, it's for the lyrics. I write most of the lyrics, but
I could tell from the way you just described as a cocktail. I could tell you were. I'm an English professor, by the
way. Yeah. There were a couple moments where, Zach being our producer in the studio would say, hey, what about your tense right here? There's maybe not consistency, or like this sort of consonant sound is a little bit nicer, when you sing it. So we'd make little tweaks like that. But we wrote all the music together, and, ideas to varying extent would come from one person sometimes. And then sometimes it all start together in the room. So I think we all just kind of approach it as, hey, whoever had the idea first, we'll give them a little bit of like command over where that song goes. But if they say, I don't care, let's just see what happens, then that's what we do.
I love that. So your new album is, or I guess it's your debut album, is Ballads of Mirror Road. Is that the correct title?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And I noticed when you were talking about, maybe especially about Wastelander, your lyrics weave tales of reconciling with the apocalypse. Do you want to talk a little bit about that song in particular?
Yeah, that was one of the first ones we landed on, maybe the first one, that and Let Me In, which is the lead track. But when we kind of had this aha moment of, this is a new sound and direction we wanted to go towards. And we were talking a lot with Wastelander specifically about how much of a concept album we want to do, how much of a story do we want to be threading through all of the songs, and to what literalness do we want to do that, and to what ambiguity do we want to do that. And so Wastelander kind of spawns back to my time working in California, close to Death Valley National Park. There's a lot of mining out that way, some that is not so good for the planet. And we had this company from Vancouver, K2 Gold, actually, who is still there causing these communities havoc, trying to advance an open pit cyanide gold mine. And so this individual, the CEO of the company, came so symbolic to me of just maybe a larger kind of problem with the natural resource industry, and specifically mining, where international interests kind of come in with, a get in and convince the community game plan that for somehow an open pit cyanide mine would be good for them. and so this person, I kind of characterized them in this song a little bit of, what if, in this made up place, this made up apocalypse we have going through this album, the only people who survive are the billionaire CEOs of companies who can afford fancy bunkers in the first place, who can afford the means to survive, while, us normies, I guess, would probably all pass away. Maybe a few of us would slip through the cracks or whatever. And that's a fun thought. But the idea is that maybe this person survives and sees the landscape and the place and what he and his behaviors have done to cause this. And really the whole song, if I could describe it in a word or two, it'd be reckoning. It's this person reckoning with what they've caused and kind of just judging what was worth it. There's a line in the song that's, it's like you never thought the light was so beautiful until you saw it through the smoke. And I love that as just a homage of just kind of, or a symbol of this person is staring at this place and saying, oh my gosh, what have I done?
That reminds me of Dr. Seuss's The Lorax.
Yes. Oh, I love that book.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I read on your press release a little description of the album. I'd like to read it, actually. The album's lyrical content is divided into two halves. The first about a character lost in a post-apocalyptic wastes, trying to survive while reckoning with the extent to which he contributed to the destruction, which is what you just talked about. And then the second half about redemption, encouragement to persevere, love, longing, and lust. The album begs the question, are those who cause the most catastrophic mistakes still worthy of love? I love that question.
Yeah. you know, it's another thing we fell on kind of naturally. As I was writing lyrics for the album, I think I got maybe 4 or 5 songs done where I felt the lyrics, captured this character and, the exaggeration of this individual and his journey through the wasteland. That's kind of what the first 5 songs are about. And then as I would sit on my porch and I would write lyrics, I kind of found myself a little just too shoehorned in this idea of, I need to keep telling this guy's story in a negative light or in a trial and tribulation light. And I was eventually just kind of thought, well, what if this person maybe not has a full redemption arc, but at least you can see a little bit of light towards it. And without giving too many bones of just literalness, I kind of wanted to explore the idea of, maybe this person in the wasteland finds somebody that they long for. Maybe it's not reciprocated. Maybe he finds someone that he is so in love with, but in this wasteland place of survival, this person might just be using him as a means of survival, but he's so in love he doesn't care. And then at the end, the song Western, which is a very cinematic, orchestral sort of song, it really, I would like to think, ties the bow on the encouragement of more of a macro statement of, you deserve to persevere. You deserve, your chance at support from other people and your chance at redeeming yourself. So, the back half gets a lot about perseverance and those questions about love. And I don't know if we necessarily answer it. I think that's up for the listener.
Good. I love ambiguity. It reminds me too of T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland. Oh,
I don't know if I've read that actually.
Yeah. It was written after the pandemic of 1918 and after World War I. So it's a lot about, some of these same kinds of times.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys are going to tour this summer. I saw some of the places. You don't just give a shout out to some of the places you'll be touring?
Yeah, we got to first shout out our show in Tacoma. We'll be at the New Frontier on Friday, June 28th. And we're playing with a local group called Serpent Foot and a guest to be determined. But yeah, we'll be playing all the songs off the record or almost all of them. And but in addition to that, we're playing Seattle, which is kind of the start of the tour, on June 20th, and that's a Thursday.
Okay.
Then we'll go through Everett. We'll play Anacortes, and if you happen to be listening from the east side, we'll be bumping over to Wenatchee on June 23rd and playing Leavenworth June 25th, and down in Portland even on June 29th. And we just found out actually that we've got a show in Vancouver, Canada on July 5th.
Wow.
So really, really excited about it.
Okay, good. It's great. I'm so glad you're coming to Tacoma.
Yeah, it'll be super fun. You have to let me know if you're free, and I'll put you on the list or something, and we'll meet.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a little bit of a promo for it too before we end the show, that we can air it at a different time during the show or during the day. So where else can people find your music?
Yeah, we, we're on the common platforms you might think of, your Spotify, your Apple Music, even Tidal or Amazon Music, if you happen to use those.
Okay.
If you're the type that likes to, purchase albums rather than stream it, we are on Bandcamp, and that money does go directly to the artist, which is amazing and supports us, as we drive places and try to share our music with the world. But yeah, all the common places, it exists there, and we'll have some vinyl eventually, but we need to stack up our pennies a little bit before that.
Vinyl. I love it. I was born in the late 50s, so I grew up with vinyl, and I'm so glad it's making a comeback.
Yeah, it's such a great way to just interface with art and kind of, hold it, make it more tangible.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun experience.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am so glad that we connected. Radio Tacoma is currently airing 2 of your songs, Forbidden Love and Wastelander, and those will be aired on Climate Talk during the hours of 10 a.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then 9 p.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, during those hours.
That's great.
They'll be airing other times too, but a lot of our scheduling is kind of done automatically, and I'm not sure when it'll happen. But I schedule this program so I can put them on exactly when I want them. And then when your entire album is released, I think that's in July, or when's the entire album be released? July 14th or?
July 5th, Friday,
5th.
July 5th.
Okay.
And then we'll be having our big kind of album release show in Bellingham, Saturday, July 6th.
Okay.
So just the day after. And hopefully folks can learn some of the words by that point and sing them back to us. It'll be something else.
Well, send us the rest of the album when you're ready.
Yeah, I will. I'll send it to you right now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bryan, for joining us on Radio Tacoma. Again, I'm Pam Beal, and this interview is done for our show Climate Talk. And if you would like to find this interview on our website, you can go to radiotacoma.org and choose programming and choose Climate Talk, and that